Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video I would like to talk about a comment that I received a few days ago. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find the particular comment. I couldn't find it on YouTube. Maybe it was on Facebook or Instagram, whatever. Anyway, the comment was about a buyer's guide for potential customers on what to prepare yourselves for before buying a Fiat 126P. So this is a very nice suggestion, I would say. I've never thought about doing a particular video like this myself because let's just say I am technically challenged, and me giving advice on this particular topic seems kind of weird, but I would like to give my own opinion on this topic. So without further ado, let's get started. The first major decision a prospective buyer has to make is for which model to go. There were basically three major models during the production cycle of the car, which ran from 1972 until the year 2000. The production started in 1972 in Italy. Unfortunately, the production has been quickly discontinued after a year. So in 1973, the Polish production company called FSM bought the rights to produce the car in Poland. FSM stands for Fabryka Samochodów Małolitrażowych, which roughly translates to factory for cars with small engines. But anyway, the first model was the ST model. It was the only available model until the middle of the 1980s. After that, the FL model was introduced, which is my orange Fiat 126P. And starting from 1994, the EL models were introduced. During those 28 years of production, there were even a few different iterations of the three models themselves. For instance, starting in 1997, if I remember correctly, they introduced the ELX model of the EL one, which had a CAT installed. There was even a convertible car. And in 1991, they produced a water-cooled Fiat 126P, which was the model BIS. As all the other models, it had the engine built in the back of the car, but it had a slightly little more power. Then again, with the switch to the EL models in 1994, the quality seemed to be dropping massively, especially starting with cars from 1995 onwards. And unfortunately, this is something a prospective buyer has to take into consideration. But that is everything for part one of this video. In part two, I will be talking about what steps are necessary or advisable before buying a Fiat 126P. So after having decided on a particular model of the Fiat 126P, the first thing, or the most obvious thing, is to check the prospective car for any signs of corrosion. There are definitely some spots of these cars that are more vulnerable to corrosion than others. The most sensible parts are here, the side sills of the car, but if there's any corrosion, it is quickly visible. So there would be rot, rust, and a lot of dirt coming off from the car, which luckily here isn't the case. Another part here is with the trunk lid. So this is a possible spot for corrosion, so have a look for that as well. And as I've showed in one of my previous videos before, here with the windscreen, it's another possible spot for corrosion as well. So there are a few typical spots where corrosion may set in, but if there aren't any visible signs of corrosion on the outside of the car, don't be too happy at this particular point. Because I really advise to check the undercarriage of the car as well. If you're not a mechanic yourselves or have any knowledge of those cars, please have them checked out by a professional car shop. Just have it lifted, check the underbody of the car, and if there's no corrosion, you can with a good conscience purchase the car. The cars are fairly easy to take care of. Again, if you're a fairly decent mechanic and have your own sets of tools, or maybe even a ramp, you're pretty much set for repairing everything in the car. Unfortunately, I'm neither talented nor have I the proper tools for that, so this is why the costs for my cars have been piling up over the last few years, but I guess that's my problem. Spare parts are still available for the cars because they share a lot of parts, similar parts with older cars, obviously, especially with the Fiat 500, which the car is the successor to. This concludes basically the second part of the video. So after having everything checked out and everything is okay, you can easily buy the car, and part 3 will be about the fuel consumption of the car, the driving experience, the fuel consumption, and storage. I guess I said something twice here, but let's continue with part 3. So the first thing is the driving experience. Obviously it's amazing, because otherwise I wouldn't have 2 Fiat 126P. Those cars don't have any artificial assisting systems, which is fine, and therefore drivers have to rely on their talent themselves. Vmax is around 120 kilometers an hour, which by today's standards is not very fast, but it's definitely enough for those kinds of cars. No owner of a Fiat 126P bought it because of driving excessively fast. So the main goal with those kinds of cars is having fun, meeting other people who have old-timers, other cars, or maybe even Fiat 126Ps. Unfortunately, to this day, over the last 10 years, I haven't been able to meet up with people. In the first 2 years, I really wasn't thinking about that very much. Over the last few years, I wanted to meet a lot of people, but for various reasons it didn't pan out. But anyway, most owners of a Fiat 126P don't use it as a daily driver as I do. So storing the car is very important. So if you don't drive the car for a longer period of time, or even only for a few days, hook it up to a trickle charger so the battery won't run flat. Put the maximum tire pressure into the tires in order to avoid a possible flat spot, and fill up the gas tank. If you have the possibility of storing the car in the garage, do so. If it's not possible over the entire year, I recommend finding a spot, a dry spot over the winter. The next thing is fuel consumption. It's okay, I would say. The car has a gas tank with a capacity for 21 liters, and the maximum distance I was able to achieve was when I was driving back from Poland in 2019, and I reached around 240 kilometers. The majority of the kilometers I drive with the car is in and around town, so the fuel consumption is a lot higher and the distance a lot less. And around town it's around 170 kilometers an hour, which roughly calculates to 8 liters per 100 kilometer. It seems a little much, and it is not little by any means, but you have to, but then you compare it to newer cars. So older cars used a little more fuel than today's cars. The next thing is the advantages of the car, which is basically the last topic I want to talk about a little in this video. Clearly, advantages and disadvantages depend on the owner of the car. For me, the most important advantage is that the car is small, it's little. I live in a town where there are very few parking spaces available, so where a regular car doesn't fit, mine will definitely do. When I'm at a public concert or whatever with a huge public parking space and there are thousands of cars, and for instance I forgot where I parked my car, I will very quickly find my car because it looks completely different than to today's cars, and the chances are that there are a lot of standard BMWs, Audis, Volkswagens, Kias and so on and so forth on the public parking space, and those owners will definitely have a tougher time finding their car. It is definitely an eye catcher. People seem to like it because it's just simply an adorable car. And with this one, I would like to finish up with the video. So first of all, I hope that for prospective buyers of a Fiat 126p, this video was a little helpful. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment down below, share this video with your friends, family, and everyone who's into these kinds of topics. Thank you for your attention, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye bye.